John Yakim.
Good evening. My name is John Yakim. I live in Monroeville. Mr. Mayor, members of council, Manager Little and Solicitor Dice, good evening to all of you. Mr. Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to address you in council this evening. As usual, I have a prepared statement, but I want to deviate for a moment. Sunday's Mother's Day, and I want to take the opportunity to wish all the moms a happy Mother's Day. My wife, my mom, my sister-in-law, Councilwoman Gatus, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
And to all your moms, happy Mother's Day. Second thing is, I want to apologize for the growth. It started out as a joke for a playoff beard, and I'll be damned if I'm going to shave it now. Thirdly, I want to take the opportunity to congratulate the Gateway Lacrosse program. Most people don't know that Gateway started a lacrosse program 4 years ago. Started as a club program and is now a WPIAL program. This is our second year in WPIAL. And the team qualified for the playoffs last night, the first time in their history. So kind of a big deal for the boys in the lacrosse program, so I wanted to mention that. Mr. Mayor, once again, I have several questions. I hope you will at least answer some of them. Mr. Mayor, in your HHS report last month, you seemed to ridicule a resident who filed over 100 right-to-know requests during some time period. You said that the requests have cost the taxpayers over $100,000. It is my understanding that the open records official is a salaried employee and our solicitor is paid a flat monthly fee. Could you explain to me how these requests have cost the taxpayers over $100,000?
Continue.
It is my understanding that many of those right-to-know requests are denied by Mr. Sedlak, the municipality's open records official, then overturned by the Open Records Office. Therefore, Mr. Mayor, it would be reasonable to assume that if Mr. Sedlak did not deny the request in the first place, there would be no need for the appeals. Furthermore, even after appeals, it is Monroeville, not the resident, who has decided to appeal some of these decisions to the Allegheny County Court of Common Pleas. So really, Mr. Mayor, it seems to me that Mr. Sedlak's denial of legitimate documents plays a large role in the alleged costs of these right-to-knows. Mr. Mayor, it is not this resident, but Monroeville, who recently appealed a right-to-know request to the Court of Common Pleas. This appeal revolved around the number of employees who are treated by one of our council members. It appears that one of our council members generates a significant amount of personal income and fortune from Monroeville's health insurance carrier. Mr. Mayor, last month I asked you if you were going to release the Daley report. During last year's election campaign, you repeatedly indicated that you were going to release this report because it contained no national secrets. So I'm going to ask you again, Mr. Mayor, are you going to release the Daley report to the public? And if not, why not?
Continue.
Last month, you also referred to the Daley investigation as being completed very inappropriately. Mr. Mayor, could you expound on that statement?
Continue.
Regarding the Daley report and the new CSI investigation, according to media reports in the Daley report, it is alleged in the paper that curious firefighters were able to access police call information, sometimes after hearing calls on a police radio, and firefighters on one occasion reportedly reviewed 911 information about a rape case. My question is this, Mr. Mayor, and I hope you will answer it. What is the scope of the CSI investigation?
Continue.
Mr. Mayor, the public is paying for this investigation. Would you please answer the simple question as to what is the scope of this investigation?
Continue.
As you are very aware, Mr. Mayor, public officials oftentimes have information about their public life questioned and even exposed in a newspaper. It certainly can be embarrassing for public officials to have his personal business discussed in public. Even zoning hearing board nominees can have their personal business discussed by residents and politicians. But public officials need to understand that the public oftentimes has a need to know about the business dealings of people who control the public purse. That is why the public is often very curious about gifts that are received by elected officials. Last month, I became aware of an elected official, Councilwoman Gatus, who has a police-style gold badge. I did several right-to-know requests and even appealed to the state to determine if Monroeville had paid for this badge. My first question regarding this badge, Mr. Mayor, is do you know if all 4 of the new members of council have one of these gold badges?
Continue.
As a follow-up, there is a rumor that one of the senior council members also has a police-style badge. Mr. Mayor, can you tell me if all 3 senior members of council or yourself has a police-style badge?
Continue.
Mr. Mayor, could you please tell me if there's any legitimate purpose for a council member to have a badge that looks identical to a police officer's badge?
Continue.
When my right-to-know request failed to yield the information I needed, I sent an email to Councilwoman Gatus asking her how she received her police-style gold badge. She told me it was a gift. When I asked her who gave the gift, she stated that it was personal information. Mr. Mayor, gifts given to public and elected officials certainly should be scrutinized. So I am asking you, Mr. Mayor, do you know who gave Councilwoman Gatus her police-style gold badge?
Continue.
The public certainly has a reason to know if our elected officials or members of council are being bribed or inappropriately influenced. And since the badge addresses her as a Councilwoman Gatus and not just resident Gatus, the badge certainly appears to be a gift related to her elected official position. I have another question regarding possible gifts to council. It has come to my attention that at least 2 members of council may have attended the recent prize fight at the Monroeville Convention Center. I do not know if there were others. The fight came to the attention of the public because it was discussed at last month's council meeting. It is my understanding that these seats were either front row or ringside. Mr. Mayor, were you or members of council given seats to last month's prize fight as gifts?
Continue.
Could you tell me if members of council received preferential seat assignments because of their political position?
Continue.
Last month, you handed out a document that outlined the costs of the HIP investigation. You included costs for overtime, back pay, cost of legal counsel, and cost of the investigator. You also included a line, former unqualified managers raise in retirement, parentheses, TBD. Could you please explain that line to me?
Continue.
Mr. Mayor, you placed the phrase in a document distributed at a public meeting. I would really appreciate further explanation.
Continue.
Mr. Mayor, do you think the safety of our junior high students will be adversely affected by the proposed removal of the school resource officer?
Continue.
What other changes will be occurring related to the diminished police manpower?
Continue.
Mr. Mayor, do you think it is wise to sacrifice police protection after a 65% tax increase without shrinking other non-essential services?
Continue.
Mr. Mayor, last year you vetoed a pay ordinance for the new manager. You vetoed it by stating, and I quote, "I am supporting the will of the residents of Monroeville by not supporting severance packages clauses in employee contracts." Did you sign the ordinance hiring Mr. Little as manager, or did you veto it since it did contain a severance clause?
Continue.
Could it be that you're vetoing last year's ordinance, yet signing this year's has more to do with personal animosity and politics than it does with principle?
Continue.
Last month, Mr. Mayor, you did answer one of my questions. When I asked if you knew about any meetings regarding the hiring of CSI Pittsburgh, you indicated that you did not because you were in the hospital. But according to Mr. Silver's report in the Post-Gazette, the decision to hire CSI Pittsburgh occurred in February. Mr. Mayor, were you being honest when you suggested that you did not know about closed-door meetings to hire CSI Pittsburgh?
Continue.
Mr. Mayor, once again, you didn't answer any of my questions, but I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.